Welcome back to Florida Sportsman Project Dreamboat. Join us as MCU's master technician, Dave Singer, works to get his 23-foot Sailfish ready for a weekend in the Keys.
All right, so my mechanic Dave has got this 23-foot Sailfish that he's been refitting for the last year. He's totally excited about this trip that he's planned down the Marathon with his family for a vacation, but in typical Dave fashion, he's waited to the last minute to address some major problems, like the steering of the boat. He's completely forgot that the center steering arm in the swivel bracket was all dried up old grease, and the motors are very stiff and hard to steer. I told Dave not to worry and freak out. You get the boat into the shop, and I'm going to show you a quick fix. So as soon as I teach Dave this trick, he'll be able to get this boat down to the Keys and start enjoying it. I'm really looking forward to teaching Dave something else.
So, bringing in my boat today, it's a 2006 Sailfish. Got it a year or so ago. It had sank, so I rewired it, been working on it through the year, and now I got it ready. And we took it out the other day for a sea trial because we're getting ready to go on a trip to the Keys, and I noticed the steering's super tight. Just, you can't operate the boat that way. I do not have time to do a proper repair, which would be to take the power head off, replace all the bushings, and go through that whole process. So we're gonna do a little temporary repair, and that's heating up the steering shaft. So on the motor, there's your bracket. In the bracket, there's a steering, that's where all your steering is. It's a tube, and it's got some bushings in there, and has a cavity for grease to be pumped in through a Zerk fitting. So what I gotta do is I gotta take some pieces off around this area, because we're gonna be using a torch, and I love fire, so anytime I get to use fire. We're going to go ahead and remove some of the pieces that can get damaged in the process. Once we got them all off, everything's clear, we go ahead and light our torch, get our tip set. I like, get the flame right. Once we start doing that, we start working the heat up and down on the shaft. I like to concentrate up towards the top because that's where the grease tends to harden or gel up, so to speak, and it actually works against you, and that's what causes it to bind. So once we get the temperature up, the grease starts flowing, the old stuff will start to flow out of the Zerk fitting. That's why we take it out. And then meanwhile, you're gonna work the engine back and forth, use a pry bar, try to get the engine to move up and down as much as you can. And then at that point, you let it cool down a little bit, and then go ahead and put a good quality grease back into it. Meanwhile, keep working it, use the pry bar, and what you're hoping for is at the top part of the steering mechanism up there, you want to see the grease starting to come out of there, and we were able to do that on mine, so that means I was able to get grease to flow from the bottom to the top. That's what you want. In the process of doing this, you're going to damage the paint. It's going to heat it up, discolor it, and you don't want to leave that exposed. You don't want corrosion to set in. So Yamaha offers factory match paint, so that's what I went ahead and used. It matches the motor perfect, and it's going to keep it sealed up, and I don't have to worry about no corrosion issues. So being that I'm in a time crunch, got everything reassembled, and went up and checked it out. No effort. It was pretty much like new. So it's going to get me through the week down in the Keys, and when I get back, I'll more than likely pull it apart and do the proper repair. But if you're in a pinch, that's probably the best and easiest thing you can ever do.
All right, so that's one of the things I love about Dave. I don't have to actually go out there and hold his hand on these projects. I can simply sit at my desk and explain to him what to do, and he gets it done, and he handles it perfectly. I simply just told him how to fix this thing. He went out there, took care of the problem all by himself, and he did an excellent job. I don't think it would have worked as good if we didn't use that special grease. That penetrating grease was pretty incredible. It ate away at all that old dried up grease, and those motors are steering like they're brand new.